What's up, guys? It's Dilly and Donnie here, and this is probably going to be one of my most important videos I'll ever make or put out there. So, I wanted to talk about social media, technology, and reinforcement, plus things I've mentioned before, such as personal bias and power of assumption, right? So, honestly, it's kind of crazy the way how smartphones have blown up for like less than 10 years in their lifespan of how mainstream they've gotten, and then the power of influence it has, right? But many of us succumb to only two sides of it, mostly one, and that is the fact that a lot of us would much rather be passive, keep scrolling through what we see on social media, and only really post engagement through in the means of comments, right? On like Facebook and stuff like that. And that's not bad or anything, but the problem is there's just a smaller funnel of people producing and bringing their knowledge and what they have, right? And then there's just a whole crowd, like a silent majority in terms of if we're talking that kind of politics, but we're not. But a huge silent majority that are kind of, I won't say clueless, but kind of aren't awake to like how social media doesn't have to be bad, but can be better, right? Don't get me wrong. It's always good to have a filter on what you do because it is the internet and it'll be there forever, right? But there are ways to navigate in ways that will help benefit you every day, right? And don't even get me started on the fact that there's so many blogs and YouTube channels and how much time is just put into just us entertaining what we want to watch on YouTube, much rather than when we're entertaining what we want to do. Again, in the power of assumption through me and my filter, I'm not saying that's what y'all do, but I know from my own personal experience and a lot of people I personally know, they'd rather sit there and just watch YouTube videos all day and play video games all day. I honestly think it shouldn't have to be like that. Well, not a lot of us may learn that balance or realize that balance much later, right? Some of us can afford to do that, and that's what we want to do, right? But in the sense of so many other things are dull inside of us that give us that life and love to pursue what we want to do and have the knowledge that we want to do, it kind of is not there. You know what I mean? Like I may not be explaining the best, but I'm trying to make it clear as possible, right? Because some of it can be complicated, right? So when we choose to be passive and consciously or unconsciously when we browse the internet, we can find ourselves in a pattern of a huge echo chamber that just reinforces things that we don't need to, right? That we don't need to be looking at all. And that's what it does, and it can take advantage of us. Like one thing that's pretty interesting is the people that invented social media or people who were big roles in it. Same thing with computers and smartphones, right? If you look it up, you'll see that the CEOs of those companies like Apple and like Steve Jobs, he never let his kids always be on the computer or on the smartphone all the time because they knew the dangerous side of this stuff, which was it will waste your time, it will suck the life out of you because most people will just be passive, right? Of course, you always have the people that use it, create content, and be a producer, not a consumer of that information, right? But it's very important that we all become our own producers to something in life. It doesn't have to be here, but in the means of these tools that we have, we should be more in a participating, producing way to move forward, at least with ourselves, if not others, in ways we want to venture out. Honestly, like only in certain cases, like, can you really be passive about it? I mean, I get it. 5 minutes a day is just going on Instagram and it does nothing to you, you have the ultimate peace of mind. Well, I say kudos to you, but a lot of people are not feeling that anymore because they're starting to realize the effects of what the internet does to your mentality, right? So imagine if we changed the way we use the internet to be more productive and producive, right? A lot of people just can't wait to waste time on the internet or their smartphone. And I'm not going to say video games because that's different, because there's so many articles you could read. There's so many questions you could have answered right there in front of you, right? This and that, da-da-da-da. But I'm not going to have an iron fist and advocate that that's how it has to be. But ultimately, if there is something you're trying to fulfill in your life, that is your ultimate tool, right? Instead of having to go to the library or, finding the impossible, which is sometimes finding a person that might move you. But that's not impossible. It just seems impossible these days because in that echo chamber of social media, it reinforces that comfort. Your time gets wasted and you just end up losing focus and losing track so fast like that, right? And this is something we all know, right? This might not be new news. This could be old and dated, right? But again, a lot of us just will sit there and just scroll with our neck like this and just scroll and scroll, right? Giving us bad posture and then wiring parts of our brain that don't need to be wired have so much strength in it that it influences our mind and our habits, right? The best way to challenge that is to take that blueprint in your mind, right? That neural connection already strengthened, right? And start putting in habits to be more productive in ways that will help you, right? So, imagine what it would be like if a lot of people just decided this is the way we use the internet. We make content and we don't consume. But the thing is, there's already enough people making so much content that satisfies this and satisfies that, right? But all of us have an extensive our own knowledge of it, right? Because all answers come from within, technically, right? All of us shouldn't have to be so so passive and just consume all that information, because it's gonna at some point have some sort of influence or some sort of support and our own biases and whatnot, and affect our own self-images and the people around us, right? Now, it may not be drastic, it may not be huge in the way it affects people, but it will affect you nonetheless, and it's very small, and the smallest things that you can't measure will always accumulate on the biggest level, because a lot of us in life, before it's too late, we'll always be like, dang, literally, I'm at the end, and I had all this time to turn around and do something about it. Honestly, it's very important that we really, really, really start producing more stuff helpful to us instead of just, putting out a little selfie saying that we're cute and all. I think that's great. It's great they have that self-image of yourself, that you're beautiful and whatnot, right? But what would it be like if we, I made a video about it already, which is moving in silence. But what if we found ways to vocalize, right? Now, this isn't to go against what I said about moving in silence, but what if we found ways to vocalize our ambitions, right? That are conducive, help us move forward without having to say too much or give so much context, right? So much context. A lot of us will just like the fact that there's just people like me or other people just doing the stuff for them, thinking for them. We all have our own thinking substance. I think it's pretty impressive that one quote that remains to be true is the fact that I forget who it's by, but it said humans will do anything, or people will do anything to get out of thinking. And I don't understand that, because all knowledge comes from within. Discovery comes from with here. All creativity lies in here, right? But it's not easy to do that when these past couple of years in a lot of countries, especially where it's brand new and getting out there, in those countries, we are now getting connected on social media and just seeing the whole entertainment value and being a passive consumption of this information. I say we shouldn't do that. Honestly, I know it kind of sounds like I have an iron fist, but seriously, if you took the time to only watch and do things that help you, benefit you, make you learn, and minimize what entertains you, you could get so much far ahead in life and start tracking a lot more progress, right? But one thing that matters is not always making content all the time and being a producer. One thing that matters is actually stepping off when this video is finished, right? Stepping off and doing what you wanted to do, right? Because in the avenue, how does sometimes this content that we produce or content that we look at and consume that is the helpful content really help us? Because that can be its own echo chamber and reinforce things that we don't need, and thus again just be entertained by nothing and ultimately waste our time with doing things we want to do. I get it. There's only 24 hours in a day. You got to eat and sleep, right? But with these new things, they're not new, but with these things that we have, we could just ultimately you could just download a lot of open-ended software, open source software, start becoming a graphic designer, a web designer, a music maker and just hit it off like that. Watch videos and just find the perfect relationship within you and start doing that. Find the online communities or find the communities around you. But instead, we all just want to be entertained and just have this reinforcement of our own personal beliefs and things that we like and stuff like that. And I don't think it's helping a lot of us at the end of the day, because where we do it is at the wrong moments. First thing in the morning, just laying in bed, scrolling through your phone, or at night, trying to go to sleep, scrolling through your phone, or you're at work, right? Wasting time and whatnot. And I get it. Being productive at work isn't always easy. Some of us end up having all this time to sham, and we will reinforce that shamming, right? But it's interesting for the fact all that passive stuff, the way it might influence you. And the way it might influence you is showing you all these right things and these wrong things. And the way it can grip your mind within that strong neural connection. So that's why I kind of make importance, like start producing your own stuff and putting your own side and having your own subjective experience of what you go into and minimize that. Personally, whenever I get home, I put my smartphone in the drawer now, because I've already realized how much time it's taking away from me, and it's taking away from doing my other stuff. Personally, my computer isn't for the internet. It's a tool to help me make stuff like music, make my website, and a bunch of other things, right? Because I got a lot coming in the future, by the way. But it's really important that we find some sort of way to either create an echo chamber that helps us take action, step away from the echo chamber, or start producing content and making means of how we can start using this stuff before we end up wasting so much more time in our life. And I get it. And I get the fact that, I shouldn't say I respect the fact that you have your own personal life, your own dynamic of how your own schedule is, your relationships, and what you got and how it is. I respect all that. So I can't honestly say you got to be upfront and do all that. But sometimes that's what it takes, is you got to be upfront and do all that kind of stuff, right? So it's very important that we just end this echo chamber that we have that's not moving us forward. And it's really easy and simple, but it's kind of hard, because that's what kind of just lights up the dopamine in our brain. Scroll through, get entertained, and forget about things and just kind of go blank, right? Just hitting off that switch that just turns off your brain, right? And that's good every once in a while, but I'm not going to be like, oh, you should just do meditation instead. Because no, you should do what brings more of that isn't that kind of substance that reinforces you to be more lazy. That's what I mean. Honestly, all good things in moderation as well as too. So that's why I made it clear in the beginning of the video. It's like, oh, whatever, 5 minutes a day going on Instagram, da-da-da-da. But imagine if you are like an entrepreneur, right? Let's use let's do something typical of me, right? Like, let's give an example. You're an entrepreneur, right? And social media is kind of your best friend, right? I said kind of, right? Because there's many means and many businesses of what is useful to social media to an entrepreneur, right? But what I mean is, like, imagine, I don't know, you're doing like a drop shipping store, right? And stuff like that. And you go on Instagram and you see all those ads. And you go on Instagram and you see how they connect with people. That's using social media to get ahead and looking at content that gets ahead. I mean, obviously, you got to produce ads and whatnot and stuff like that. But what if instead of just passively scrolling, right, they instead start going to the Explore page and seeing what data they can grab to start making money for their business, right? Seeing what kind of social media engagement leads them to people landing on their store and buying their stuff. By the way, I don't do dropshipping, but I'm just saying because I know people that do, and I understand it. And that's my example for understanding how social media can be actually the tool that you need to either make a new echo chamber that reinforces productivity or not. Or, in a sense, if you're an influencer, you kind of study and see how you could bring people to land on your Instagram page and whatnot and get many followers and kind of produce the kind of content. And that's what I mean by being producers, right? And I don't mean no typical like influencer or whatnot. And this doesn't have to be for social media. This is also could be for real life, man. Real life. Understanding how to make new connections and network with people and whatnot. Because when you decide to be a producer of life, it's going to attract things. And it can attract the specific things that you're looking for with the like-minded people that can move you forward and whatnot. Evidently, I feel like I made my point. So that'll be it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed and whatnot. And the song of the day will be Robots Rock by Daft Punk. Anyways, I hope you guys end up having a wonderful day.